Hi, guys. Welcome back to Wager Talk TV for First Pitch, a 7-day-a-week show. Joining me today, Dave Koken, Brian Leonard, and Steve Merrill. I want to first start off by just mentioning that promo, how much attention it got yesterday. And I believe a few times I actually might have given the wrong information. This is $199. I might have said $299 a few times. $199 currently for 1 month all access. Originally $349. So I wanted to get that out of the way and clear the air right away. Second thing I want to do is just thank you, Steve Merrill, for filling in for me. You and Matt Josephs helped me out quite a bit over the past couple of weeks. So thank you very much. And how are things with you?
Hey, doing well, Andrew. Great to be back on the show with you. And the host role was fantastic. These guys make it easy, all these baseball experts, as you know, each and every day.
Definitely. So before we get to the other guys, what can we grab from you over at Wager Talk?
I actually do not have a baseball best bet tonight. That's the bad news. Good news is I have a 5% best bet for the NBA playoffs. So I'm more than made up for it with a very strong NBA play. Been hitting over 60% all sports for a month now, but the 5%ers have been well over 70%. So good time to get an NBA, and I'll be back here after the show at 3 p.m. Eastern Live, noon Pacific, as we are every weekday with the NBA tip-off show. So if you like NBA, my 5%'s ready, but more importantly, we got the NBA show coming up with some great information in the next hour.
Great stuff. So check out Steve's 5% play over at wagertalk.com. And, of course, the NBA tip-off show, always a good time and always a few laughs watching that show as well. Some great banter and some good back and forth.
Andrew, did you catch yesterday's episode by any chance?
I actually didn't catch yesterday.
Okay, anybody who did, including Dave and Brian, you need to go back and watch. Tony Finn, who was always in rare form, was at level 10 rare form. And there's a 50. We got odds at about 50-50 if he's on the show today. No, he was in incredible form. Fast forward to about the 40-minute mark. He covers a Russian middle was mentioned, WNBA, something I had to bleep out, and some other things. Anyway, very entertaining on Mondays. Tuesday show. It was a good start to the month of September.
He was telling me he plays the house sometimes. Everyone's trying to make bets with him, but he never gets to be the one that decides the bets. It's always people challenging him. So anyway, great show, guys, to check that one out. Dave Koken, my partner in crime. I don't know how you did yesterday, but I do know one free play video you did on the San Fran Giants. Great play on that, Dave.
Yeah, that one worked out pretty well, but I had to play in the Reds, and that was the complete opposite. And then the irritating one, I didn't lose anything. I had to push on the Flyers' first period, but you just always hate it when it would have been worse if they lost the first period and won the game, but they pushed the first period and won the game. But I look, that was the right play as far as I'm concerned, and I just didn't get a win out of it. By the way, on the Let's be upfront, Andrew. You were mentioning $299 instead of $199, and you were looking to pocket the extra $100 from everybody.
It's a Russian middle. That's the Russian middle right there,
buddy. Yeah,
somebody's got to pay for that apartment right there.
Yeah, if only that was a thing I could do. That's for sure. But yeah, that was definitely the wrong price that I mentioned. And you know what the reason why? And not even to be salesy, because I'm not usually that type of person. Because that's just a really good friggin' deal.
Either way, it's a good deal.
Yeah, it is.
$49. That's probably why I thought it was $299. I mean, that's a big jump from $349 to $199. So
it's really cheap. I mean, it works out to like $6.50 a day, and you get everything from any handicapper you choose. So, for instance, with me today, you would get. Well, I have a free play, but you get that as well because it is all my free plays are actual plays. Then I've got a best bet. I didn't play the hockey game, but I do have a college football game. And as usual with my college football, once I post it, and I'm not saying this to make myself sound special, but it's been happening for like 20 years. So I've gotten used to it. Once I post a play, you usually see some line movement. There's a lot of people who follow my selections. So the idea of getting the package is that you're going to get the plays as soon as I make them myself, which means you can get the best line because you can go out and hit it right away. And that closing line value, that adds up at the end of the season.
And as far as those packages go in both baseball, college football, and NHL, what can we grab from you right now?
Well, that's what you can grab.
Overall, everything. What do you have up as far as like daily pick packages?
Well, it varies from day to day. But today I've got the one college football game. I might add another one before the week's out. 2 baseball plays, but one of those is I am not going to play the hockey game. I have no idea what's going to happen in this Colorado-Dallas game tonight. So I can't wait to watch it. I think it's going to be exciting but I am not playing over 6 or 6.5, even though it looks like an over. And if I flipped a coin on the side, it would land on its edge.
And that means it's going to be a great game from a viewership perspective and a fan perspective, and that's what it's all about. Brian, good to see you. How are things with you?
Everything is going great. Had a big winner yesterday. I told the clients that I had a big underdog and gave out the Detroit Tigers. I got them at plus 183 at Bookmaker.
Nice.
Nice to have a 12-1 winner, open to close on that one, and big underdog winner. 3 straight underdog winners for me. And we're back on the streak that we started 3 years ago in baseball. And baseball has just been something that, if you like to play underdogs, baseball's the way to go. Baseball and hockey, and we saw that last night with the dominance of the Golden Knights, and still couldn't win the game. These are sports that the teams are so close, just something a little different in a single game produces the winners. It's not like in the NBA or in the NFL where teams win 80% of their games. So there's a lot of parity in these sports, and we can take advantage of it. And I could not believe that the way that Milwaukee's played this year, was that big of a favorite last night, and they took a ton of money to do it, too.
We talked about that on the show yesterday. I didn't play it. I wish I had. But that's exactly what we were saying yesterday on the show, is that how can it be this much of a price? And the Tigers, for as crappy as their lineup looks, they got a winning record now. I mean, they're over 500.
They definitely do, and it's in what we thought was going to be one of the worst divisions of baseball, but it's probably the best division of baseball. The only team really not competing right now is Kansas City, but Chicago.
And they're scrappy. The Orioles are a scrappy team.
They are a scrappy team, believe me.
Does Johnny still have his 500-1 ticket, hopefully, on the Tigers?
He could actually sell that.
He probably sold it right 6 games ago. He probably hedged out 6 games ago.
I'd be curious to what Prop Swap is a
good point, though. Yeah,
they'll buy your tickets,
right?
And I'd be curious what they would offer on that right now, just to find out what they would offer.
He's got 500-1 to win the AL, or is it the World? I think it's just the pennant,
World
right?
Series.
Is it the World Series? Yeah. Okay.
The problem with that is everybody I know plays offshore, and they don't take the offshore tickets. And Johnny knows every offshore bookmaker there is, so I'm just assuming.
No, he had a copy of it.
He did have
copy.
it.
Yeah.
He posted it. Okay. That's the only reason I knew about it. Yeah.
All right.
Interesting. Prop swap's a good move. I forgot about that, Dave. That's a good call.
Brian, you're in Vegas, right?
Yes, I am.
So if I ever want a ticket, I can just send you the money and you'll get it for me, right?
That's legal.
That's actually illegal.
That's not legal.
It's illegal. I have a lot of friends back from the East Coast trying to get me to bet something for them, and you can't do it. I'm not saying people don't do it. I'm just saying that it's technically illegal.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I misspoke, Andrew. What I was thinking is if you're in Vegas, you make a future, you could mail the ticket in from Canada or from the U.S. to cash it. That's what I was thinking. So thank you, Brian. You're correct.
And I say that in a lot of just a joking effect, because obviously we have so many guys on these shows that are from all over North America, which is just so great that not everyone on these shows are from Vegas or are from certain areas where you can get those tickets. So we're forced to go with the online route. And like Dave said, before we get into the games real quick, we did discuss a lot of value, I guess, to use, and I hate using that word, but I've been using it a lot, because there were a lot of dogs that were barking yesterday, and we saw it. I mean, a lot of overpriced numbers, and I asked the panel countless times, do you think this team deserves that price? Do you think that team deserves that price? And we found out yesterday a few teams probably didn't deserve to have that price that we did. Before we get into things, Hunter Engelhardt he's got a newborn at home. He's in the chat box. A phrase he said that even at my age, I can understand: happy wife, happy life. You got to take care of your priorities and take care of your family. He is in the chat box, but he could not be on the video today. But even with everything going on in his personal life, he is still on an 11-3-1 run with a 2-pack up tonight, including a 4% play. And if I'm correct, Hunter does not release too many 4% plays. So head over to sportsmemo.com and grab that. Hunter's a great handicapper, also a former baseball player as well at the college level. So just wanted to give that a shout out. Congratulations again to Hunter, and keep up those winners. We're going to start with a series that I've been following very closely. The White Sox, or the White Six, that I have posted on the screen there. I'll go to you, Dave, first on this matchup. I don't think the team changed their name. Maybe they did. I'm not sure. But White Sox and Twins pretty decent favorites here.
Well, and they're big favorites because Reynaldo Lopez is on the mound for the White Sox, and as much action as the White Sox have been taking on a daily basis from the bettors run the other way when Reynaldo Lopez is on the mound. And, I really can't disagree with that strategy. He is clearly the weak link in their rotation, and I guess they'll just keep sending him out there and hope for the best. Barrios is getting back to where he's typically been, which is that he is a guy who is very tough at home and not very good on the road. I don't know. I've never figured out why that is. The distance from the mound to the plate is still the same. There shouldn't be these dichotomies, and yet it's got to be mental, where he's just more comfortable pitching in Minnesota than he is away from home because his stuff is still his stuff. It's a little pricey for me. I mean, I think the Twins are the right side in the ball game because I don't ever want to be on Lopez, basically, and his numbers are absurdly bad so far. But they've really pushed the price to a level where I'm not really comfortable with it. I would still look at the Twins here. I would probably look Twins first 5, even though the Twins have a decent bullpen. Your main advantage here is clearly Barrios against Lopez. And to me, if it's starting pitching that you're keying on, then you pay the premium and just focus on the starting pitching. And with the White Sox offense, it's very possible Barrios will be done after 5, maybe 6 innings. Actually, the first 5 is priced just the same as the full game. So to me, if you're going for the better option, it would be on the first 5.
Dave Koken from WagerTalk.com, exclusively at WagerTalk.com, signed the contract just a couple months ago, I believe, or just a month ago, Dave. You can find all his plays at WagerTalk. Brian Leonard, I'm going to start calling you Mr. Underdog the short time that I've known you. What are you thinking here? Is there a chance for an underdog spot here, or this is kind of a stay-away spot for that?
Yeah, just to touch on something that Dave said about where you're pitching and all. I've never been a professional athlete, but I was on my high school bowling team and, that kind of thing. And I used to practice at these lanes, and I would have like a 220 average in these lanes. And then we would go on the road and play other schools at other lanes. It seemed to me, from an eye standpoint, just the background, it would throw me off. I don't know if that's what's happening when you're going on different mounds. Mounds are supposed to all be the same, and as Dave pointed out, you got the same distances. But it's really interesting because now that we have no fans in the stands, you would think, for the most part, the younger players wouldn't be affected at all because, a lot of guys just don't like people rooting against them and that kind of thing. This year, we're seeing it again where sometimes some guys struggle on the road. But, getting back to this game, Dave's completely right about Barrios. When you take a look at this game, the teams are really even, and that makes it tough when you're laying a big number like Minnesota is right now, especially when Chicago's not facing a lefty. We've all made a lot of money on Chicago against the lefties, but against righties, they're and look at Lopez. He's faced Minnesota the last 5 times. His game score is 56 in 2018, but since then 16, 43, 30, and 28. That's not good when league average is 50. So he's been getting blown away by Minnesota here, and Barrios off his worst start of the season. The last time he played Chicago, he had a 28 game score, so he got hit pretty good there. But traditionally, he's been pretty good against the White Sox. I prefer the Minnesota side here, but since the teams are so equal, I can't lay that type of number.
It is, by the way, it very much is a psychological thing with the home and road. I was never on any teams, but I can tell you that there were certain bars where I knew I was going to score. Okay. But when I went
let's go to that bar after the show.
When I went to a bar that I wasn't as familiar with, my success ratio wasn't as good. I wasn't as confident. So it's probably the same thing as baseball. It's all about getting to first and second base and all that stuff,
Well, it's a very mental. I mean, pitching's more mental than any position on the field. So I think there could definitely be something with the home road thing, even if it's not a physical thing like the mound, which also I think could be part of it. Andrew, I'll just say quickly, what jumps out to me here is only 2 of the last 12 Twin games have gone over the total. There's been a couple pushes, but only 2 overs the last 12. I don't like trying to catch a falling knife. I use that term a lot in the financial markets, when the stock market's in the downward. You don't want to try to guess the bottom. However, I have a sneaking suspicion that the Twins might be on the uptick after yesterday's win. It snapped that 6-game losing streak. More importantly, they got 11 hits. They'd had 5 hits or less in the previous 4 games. But once again, I'm not going to lay $1.55 to try to guess if this is that turning point. And I'm not going to play over 9.5 either. It's the highest total, and they've only gone over twice in 12 games.
Yeah, that worked out perfectly, Steve, because I was going to ask you about that total. And that's kind of how I felt as well with you. I actually had a slight lean to that, but I'm not going to look at it with this 9.5 number, maybe even an in-game spot if this starts a little bit slow. Definitely a lot of in-game, maybe 4th, 5th, 6th inning is when I've been making my in-game overs in MLB. I think that's the most promising spot to look at it based off the start and trying to figure out when we're going to get rid of a starting pitcher and put in some of the bullpen guys. Yankees taking on the Rays here.
Oh, boy.
Let's get right into it, Dave.
Boy.
I mean,
well,
I just think the Yankees are fun to talk about every single day. There's always a new headline. There's always someone new to get mad at. There's always someone to praise. I mean, what's the story with them tonight, Dave?
Well, this is the last meeting between these two teams. So, and there is now some, I mean, this isn't hype. There's some real bad blood here. There's no question the Yankees were throwing at Tampa yesterday. Tanaka basically never goes up and in on anybody. Okay, he just doesn't pitch there. And he did yesterday. And then Chapman throws 3 pitches basically at a guy's head, including one that was 101 miles an hour. And Kevin Cash blew up after the game. So I don't know if there's going to be retribution because there's no question the league's going to be looking at this very closely. And, if somebody goes out there and is judged to be throwing at somebody, there's going to be a substantial suspension involved. So I don't know what's going to happen there. It might be more talk than anything else. But if they were posting odds on benches emptying, I might take the will happen. These teams don't like each other right now, and it was pretty ugly stuff yesterday. As far as this matchup's concerned, well, I don't know. I mean, it's the first time back for Charlie Morton. I don't know how long he's going to go. I don't know whether he's going to be as sharp as we normally see. We know he wasn't sharp early in the season, and he had actually told people. He told the media that he wasn't sharp, and he wasn't. You normally see a pitcher do that, but we'll give Charlie points for his openness. So apparently he's healthy now and ready to go, but I would think they're going to have a short leash on him as far as pitching count is concerned. Montgomery on the other side, he's been okay. His xFIP is 3.88, which is not bad. I think he's settling in as a middle of the rotation guy, but he's facing a lineup that, it's just a really tough lineup to go against right now because they're just smacking the ball around. I'm not laying a price against Tampa. I think yesterday was the spot to do it if you were going to do it because of the pitching matchup. I don't think that advantage is necessarily there today. To me, it's a wait and see with Morton. I do want to watch this not just to see if there's a fight, but also to see what Morton looks like, whether his velocity is where it's supposed to be, whether he's got the break on his curve that he needs to have because that's such a good pitch for him. So it's a wait and see game for me and not one I'm going to be betting on.
So Dave, just to follow up, just personal question, with these questions and these intangibles that you're saying, would that as much as you're saying you don't want to go against the Rays, with those question marks that you're saying, wouldn't it lean to the Yankees just based off what you already know versus what you don't know?
I don't know because I think the Rays are going to be really pissed off and fired up coming into this game. They want to beat this team. The Rays always want to beat the Yankees anyway, and it's the last meeting of the season. This is one of those games where Kevin Cash got 28 guys dressed tonight. He's like, knowing Cash, he's like a mad scientist out there, and in a good way. He's liable to use the whole roster. This is a game they're going to want. What I would be looking at is a potential flat spot for Tampa coming out of this.
Yep.
We do get flat spots, and their next game after this, particularly if they win this game, I might be taking a look to bet against the Rays.
Andrew, just real quickly, I was just looking at the schedule, Dave. You read my mind. They're home against the Marlins. I was like, oh, what a great play against. But guess what? They're off tomorrow. There's a day off, unfortunately, in between. So I like it less for that reason, but read my mind. I was looking there.
Yeah, but I think they might, if my rotation's right, I think they might be running to Pablo Lopez. So that might be a live spot to take the Marlins on Friday anyway.
And Andrew, just a quick schedule. This might be wrong. With the one scheduling I'm looking at now, it looks like the Yankees have a home doubleheader tomorrow against the Mets and Orioles. That might be the first time in baseball history.
How weird is that?
I know. And normally I'd be like, that's a glitch in the schedule I'm looking at, but that's just the realm of reality we live in, guys.
It's 2020, man. You just don't even know. The funny thing is, there's going to be so many eyes on this game, so many people with different opinions. I got to ask you, right back at you, Steve. First of all, just with what we're seeing, the hype revolving around this game, like Dave said, great job kind of building it up as far as the matchup intensity goes. How does that change your handicap? Does it change anything to you? Obviously, that kind of stuff would change to me in a sport like the NBA or NHL. But with a sport that's just still a hitter against or pitcher against batter, does that type of stuff change the way you think about the game?
And by the way, I'm looking now. It looks like the doubleheader against the Orioles is Friday. They play just the Mets tomorrow, so that makes more sense. So just if any viewers are going to look into that. But anyway, yeah, I mean, what I look at more than anything is I look at momentum, I think, more than a lot of guys, Andrew, with baseball. And right now it'd be very hard to play against the Rays at an underdog price. I mean, they're in good form. They don't score a lot of runs. They win games. They give up 7 runs a few games ago. They still win because they put up 12. They have their best. It's just like they find a way to win. The Yankees, until last night, had 8 hits or less in 8 straight games. So they're still shorthanded somewhat. They're not smashing the ball. I just think this still means more to the Rays. The Yankees know they're going to be there in the playoffs. The Rays are kind of still the underdog in the season itself. They remind me a lot of the Indians, though, and I'll throw it to Brian Leonard because that's his team. They get it done without scoring runs. They win 3-run game. They score 3 or 4 runs, and they find ways to win, Brian. It's amazing.
Yes, it's not only the management, it's the front office. Tampa's been one of the best. Minnesota, Cleveland, and Tampa have been the best teams to not spend a lot of money and have success. And you've got to respect that. One thing I'm looking at this game, Tampa Bay right now has got a 3.5 game lead, and the Yankees only have 10 home games left on the season. They've got a losing record when they go on the road. Now, I know the Yankees are missing some key players in that lineup, but you have to think this is pretty close to a must-win as you can get in the middle of the season for the Yankees. They fall 4.5 behind. Chances are they're not going to win this division. Sure, the playoffs are expanded this year, and all you got to do is make the playoffs. But it's a situation that the game means more to the Yankees. But as was pointed out earlier, with Morton coming back, we don't know his situation, and with what has happened yesterday, I don't know how each of these teams are going to play. And if I'm the Yankees, I have to have this game so I don't do anything to upset Tampa or upset the umpires in this game. But there's too many questions, too many variables in this one. So my number says the Yankees slightly, but I'm going to be sitting this one out.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I think you look at it, and like Dave said, when you've got a guy like Morton where there's slight question marks, but you got a team like Tampa Bay right now at this price, I wouldn't really pass it up. For me, I'm passing on this game, side and total. Next game we'll move on to is another one, which is a key game for us. We're going to talk about the Dodgers Diamondbacks. Is going to have plenty of attention. Every Dodgers game has plenty of attention. I'll throw it to you here, Dave, for your thoughts on this. Well, obviously, like most games, Dodgers laying a big number here.
Yeah, Brian and myself were talking about this, just handicapping philosophy before the show started, and we're both on the same side of this discussion. A lot of handicappers will look at sabermetrics and will judge that there's supposed to be some kind of a regression or either positive or negative with a pitcher. And I always refer back to this. This is a lesson I learned several years ago. It was Jeff Locke's rookie year with the Pittsburgh Pirates. And Jeff Locke had, and I was involved in analytics way before most people. So I was already involved in it at this time. And Jeff Locke was a left-hander who had really ordinary stuff. And his metrics sucked. I mean, his FIP was over 5. I think it was approaching 6. But he kept on winning games, and his ERA was really low. It was like in the mid-2s. And the lesson I learned was I'm looking at this and saying, well, this guy has to regress. His base numbers are completely phony, and there has to be a regression here. Well, the problem is I probably lost about 7 out of 9 bets or something like that betting against Jeff Locke because the son of a bitch just kept on going out there and putting up these horrible numbers and somehow not giving up runs. And the regression eventually started taking place, but not until I'd lost a whole bunch of bets. And the lesson I learned was that you can expect a regression, but you've got to wait for it to start in either direction. And the reason I bring it up here is that Walker Buehler had not been performing Buehler standards so far this season. And I was avoiding saying, well, he looks like he should be pitching better than this, so I'm going to expect it. It finally showed last start, and that to me is the buy sign on Buehler. He completely dominated in his last start, and to me now he goes into the go with category where he was not before. Now he's going against the Diamondbacks, who basically have, I don't know, I mean the way they're hitting the ball, they look like they're just horrible offensively. They can't manufacture any runs. They're getting very little offense, and the lineup got worse because they decided to trade away some people. So I find it difficult to believe they're going to be able to do much against Buehler. On the flip side is Zach Gallen, who's been outstanding. Maybe not as good as his base numbers would show, and maybe there's going to be a regression at some point with Gallen, but that we'll have to wait and see on. In the meantime, he's been terrific. He hasn't given up more than 3 runs, I believe, in 23 straight starts or something like that to start his career. He's approaching a record there. I think he sets a record if he gets through tonight. 5 of his 6 starts, the Diamondbacks have been first 5 unders. That's the game I used as the free play today. I expect Buehler to shut down the Diamondbacks. I think Gallen will be okay against the Dodgers. They're always scary with that offense, but I took the under 4 for the first 5 innings in that game for my free play today, which is posted at wagertalk.com if you want to read what I had to say, but basically I just said it.
Well, Brian Leonard, I'm right now for myself, I'm starting to see some 7.5s popping up as this total, and just like Dave said, a great opportunity to grab this under. And it's so funny to me because you look at certain teams, and even teams that are a little bit below average or in the bottom of the league, and they have that one pitcher, that one ace that's really going to go out there and stand out, and then the next night they completely look like a whole different team and give up runs left and right. So when you approach this one, a team like the Dodgers that any given night could have an offensive explosion. How do you approach a total like that? Obviously, Gallen on the mound. I feel the exact same way as Dave does, but sometimes it just worries me because the same thing that I would talk about with Dave doing our Korean baseball shows together, we could have one team just dominate just themselves.
Yeah,
and just any total.
To interrupt, I mean, if he puts the one thing Gallen does occasionally is he walks people. And I hope he's not doing that tonight because you give the Dodgers free passes, they're going to kill you.
Like Dave, I'm sorry, Brian, but just go back for a second. How would you feel? I know I haven't heard you say much about team totals, but how about the team total under first 5 for the Diamondbacks? If anyone's going to score, I say it's the Dodgers.
I can't disagree with it. I mean, there's a real good chance Buehler throws a shutout for 5 innings.
What about yourself, Brian?
Yeah, I'm thinking the same way here. One note about the buy sign on Buehler, he did it against Colorado in Dodger Stadium, and Colorado's got a 75 WRC plus on the season against righties, so that's 4th worst in baseball. So he's getting Colorado on the road in that situation. So it was a great start, but I don't know if I need to see any more. But I understand where Dave's going here. But you take a look at WRC plus when we have Arizona at 89, which is 11 below league average, and the Dodgers are 130, which is obviously 30 better than league average. The hitting advantage is obviously with the Dodgers here. So I look at the game and I say, I'm always trying to make a case for the underdog. So I'm looking at this game and I actually think the line's a little high, and I think it may be a correlated parlay. If you play Arizona and the under and look for them to win a 3-2 game, something to that effect, because I think the only way Arizona's going to win this game is going to be in a low-scoring contest. Yeah, right. And as we've seen, elite pitchers, and I consider Zach Gallen an elite pitcher, these guys can come out any single day and throw up a shutout, give up 1 run. So that's the way I would look at it, correlated parlay. And I don't really play parlays unless they are correlated. So that's what I'm looking at here is Arizona and the under. Don't know if I'll get there to either one, but I think there's some good value there.
And that's just the thing, Brian. For me, when I look over these daily cards, I feel the exact same way. I love making these the correlated, and also I think it's just a great way of thinking about how you like a certain player, what you think about a certain game. Just trying to figure out. Same way in the UFC, method of victory. This guy going to win? How's he going to win? I think the problem with that is a game against the Dodgers. Anything could really. I think that's a great idea against a lot of other teams, but the lineup 1 through 9 with this Dodgers team is just such a lethal threat. I'll throw it to you, Steve. How do we approach this game here? Dodgers minus 200.
Yeah, well, first thing, Arizona 1-11 their last 12 against the best team in baseball by far. So it's pretty hard at plus 185 for me to want to jump on that bandwagon. But I got to give a shout out to Bueller, because Dave knows every time I'm on the show, it seems he's on the mound. The last time I hosted for you, Andrew, he got scratched, and we really were looking for Bueller. So now he's back. It's been a couple weeks, so that's a concern. But hey, guys, this is all I say every time I talk Dodgers all season long. 33 of their 37 games this year, they've either lost outright or won by 2 runs or more. So it's quite simple. You either play plus 185 Arizona, which at a 1-11 run I not have a lot of interest in, or you play the minus 1.5 even money run line. I'm not touching the minus 200 outright either way. That's how you play them. They've only won 4 of their 28 wins this year by 1 run. They either win by multiples or they lose outright. It's really a remarkable thing.
By the way, if you're suffering from any form of depression, you might want to watch the post-game shows for the Diamondbacks, and you'll realize that someone's more depressed than you are. I mean, that broadcast crew is just, I mean, that team has no life right now, and it's reflected in their broadcast crew.
And they're only playing 60 games, Dave. Imagine if it was 160.
Because what happened is that this was a team that had some real expectations. I mean, look, they got some attention in the futures market as a team that most people figured was going to be in the playoffs, and who knows at that point. There was a lot of excitement about this team this season, and they are, I think, based on expectations, I think they're the biggest flop in baseball.
They're also trading their better players now too, so they're basically giving up on the season.
Yep. I was going to say, keep in mind too, a week ago they were the only team in their division not in the playoffs, which makes matters even worse. And on an 1-11 run, there will be some teams that we have to say just toss the towel. This has all the likely, makings of that team.
I was going to say back to you, Steve. Obviously, I don't have the numbers in front of me, and you might not as well. But looking at it, because I've become a really big team total guy in numerous sports, I wonder out of how many of those marginal victory games that you're speaking of for this Dodgers team, they're covering that team total as well. Usually around 4.5, 5.5 against some teams, probably a little bit higher maybe. But looking at that as well, when this team wins, they win big.
Yeah, I've seen that when they won 4-3, they won 7-6, they won 2-1, and then there's 1 and 6-5. So I guess maybe 3 of those, at least 2 of them soared over, maybe 3 of the 4 they did. They're an explosive team. And by the way, guys, I like to look at margin. They by far have the biggest plus minus as far as runs scored. Ones are plus 93. Guess who's second in the entire league, major league? The Indians plus 48. And as Dave know, I mentioned them a week ago at 20-1 as my long shot ticket right now for the World Series. It's another reason I like the Indians. They have great pitching. I know their offense is suspect, but they have the second best scoring margin in baseball after the Dodgers, which surprised even me when I saw that.
I want to mention just one more time again about Hunter Engelhardt over at sportsmemo.com. 11-3-1 run for him in baseball. He has a 2-pack posted. So all 4 of us here on the screen, you can find at wagertalk.com. You can find Hunter and a couple other guys in our crew over at sportsmemo.com. So don't want to forget that as well. Make sure you're checking out both sites every single day. Also, $199, not $299, $199 for our 1 month all access. And just the list goes on. We've got, Kentucky Derby, we've got baseball, we've got basketball, we've got hockey, we've got football coming up, college football. Can't forget the KBO with Dave and I. So many things to grab, so many sports to handicap. Just want to throw that out there for anybody looking to get an extended package for that. And myself personally, if you're looking for a 3-day or 7-day, you can use the coupon code 15 off for any of my packages. And I believe that's valid just until Friday. That's for 3 days, 7 days, and 30-day packages. We're going to go through a couple of these games, guys. We'll try and get some good information for them, but kind of race through them a little bit. It's my apologies for starting a few minutes past the hour. San Francisco, I mentioned it. Dave had them as his free play in the video, and I don't know if he had a time machine and just kind of, traveled a little bit and saw how many runs they were going to put up. But great call by you there, Dave. Can they do it again? 11.5 is the total as well.
No, I mean, obviously it was a little bit of an aberration last night, but rough night for pitchers.
You don't think they'll score that many tonight again?
It was a rough night for pitchers named Gray.
Yeah.
Sonny got absolutely destroyed, and Jonathan was just as bad. And I mentioned this yesterday. Jonathan Gray, if he doesn't have his slider working, he's basically got no shot. And obviously, it was not working last night. Freeland's been good, but I don't want the Rockies. I think the Rockies are a fade team. I do think they might be the right side in this game, so therefore I'm going to leave it alone. I don't see myself betting on the Rockies much the rest of the season. Arizona's worse than they are, but I think Colorado is that other team that's going to fade badly in the NL West.
I saw a comment here from Scott S. The new Wager Talk show. Well done. That's with Teddy Covers and, of course, the Lawrence Presman. That's going to be every day at 12 o'clock Eastern time. Very well produced, very well run. There's going to be a bookmaker on every day as well, a special guest, and Ralph Michaels, I believe, daily, giving his stat of the day. So a great show to tune into. And I'm
on tomorrow.
Dave's on tomorrow. There you go. And there's plenty more of that to come in the future as the production is only going to get better right here on Wager Talk TV. I'll throw it to you, Brian, with that game. I mean, is it something that you want to look at as well? Continue to fade this Colorado Rockies team?
Yeah, the Rockies, especially when they're playing against a right-hander, they're only 9-16 on the season, 8-3 against lefties. San Francisco was a game that I was just on the border of using yesterday. It got bet down a little bit past my range, so I ended up passing on it. But I saw that there was value there. And, right now you've got a team in San Francisco who came into the season. Nobody gave them a second thought. They're playing good ball. You got Colorado, who I didn't like coming into the season, but there was other people who thought Colorado was a playoff team. People are slow to take a look at these teams. So like we kind of talked about that yesterday with the Brewers and the Tigers is, Detroit and San Francisco, these teams, nothing was thought of them coming into the season. Miami's another one. And yet they're being bet on as if it was last year's teams and not this year's teams. Every year in baseball is totally different. Depending on the people you have in the locker room, sometimes you have a great relationship with your teammates. Other times you have trouble teammates and you just don't get along. When you have a team that is consistently being graded as an underdog and you consistently see them winning, that's a team I want to be on. And we've got teams going in opposite directions here.
Is there a sign or total that interests you in this one, Steve?
Well, first of all, coming into yesterday, these teams were 1 run apart in total differential in the season. They're now 37 runs apart after one game. Is that crazy? But, yeah, I mean, the Giants, underdog price, and they just won by 18 runs. I'm not fading that. I'm not trying to guess if Colorado is going to turn things around. And I'll also point out, keep in mind, the Giants are 10-0 their last 13 games if you throw out that doubleheader sweep against the Dodgers last Thursday, and then they had to travel to Arizona Friday and they lost. Those are their only 3 losses the last 13 games. So I'm not getting in front of that, especially laying money with Colorado. So it'd be Giants or pass for me.
It's funny you say that too, Steve, because, I'm not trying to throw shade at anyone that did do this, because there might be someone out there that I know that did this, but there's definitely going to be a lot of those bounce back spot advertisements or tweets. I don't know if you can call it.
And it could happen. It might happen. I mean, there's no way to know.
I'm not putting my money on it, or at least going to call it a bounce back spot when somebody gets thumped like that. I mean, you can call it a bounce back spot when you lose a 7-5 game, but I don't know if that's a bounce back spot. You might as well get a couple new hitters to try and bounce back after that game. That's an absolute beatdown, but obviously that's just one game. I'll throw it right back to you here, Steve, with the Mets and the Orioles.
Yeah, I mean, as I misspoke earlier, the Orioles have the doubleheader against the Yankees on Friday. The Mets will have the Yankees tomorrow, and I do think that might be a makeup game. So it's a little confusion there. But, the Orioles are a team for the most part that had overachieved this season. Come back down to earth here in recent weeks. The Mets, meanwhile, you can make an argument, had underachieved for a while. Right now it's a daytime game. I'm seeing the Orioles and Mets line right now get the most current number for you. Baltimore is about $1.30 home dog against Waka Waka. So we'll see what happens in this one. It didn't really jump out to me. I'm no interest of laying the money on the road with the Mets on a 5-game losing streak right now.
No, I'll just throw in that I mean, Walker's got some good numbers, but the problem is every time he makes a mistake, it goes out of the park, or he just falls victim to a big inning. I can't play the Mets. I just can't play the Mets right now, so it's a pass for me.
Well, Brian Hunter's talked about with us that he doesn't like betting on some of these, I guess, below average teams. Do you have any interest in being involved in games with teams like this?
Oh yeah, I love betting on those teams. That's where the value is. I mean, the last 2+ years, I've tripled clients' bankrolls in baseball. I didn't mention. We'll give you a chance to mention my packages today. I've got 3 baseball up, and I'm going to have an NBA up, and that 199 special is just ridiculous. If you want more than one guy to follow, you could probably get 4 guys and follow them, and you've got everything you want for the entire month. And it's a great deal. I just can't believe they put that out there. I might be buying some myself, to be honest with you. Yeah, I want to use Baltimore here because the Mets are 4-10 versus lefties. They're not playing well right now, but I don't trust John Means. At this point, he's not throwing enough pitches. His high water mark was last time out, 74 pitches. He's just not in a good groove yet. Walker, David mentioned the home runs. The last 2 years, he's given up 30 home runs and 143.2 innings. So he's given up 2 home runs a game. And despite Baltimore maybe slumping a little bit lately, this offense has still been pretty impressive on the season. I didn't think their offense was anything coming into this year. I thought it was going to be one of the worst offenses in baseball, and they've hung in there pretty well. But I just can't trust anybody in this game, so it's going to be all on the sidelines for me.
The next game on the card here we're going to discuss, and this is a game like I said yesterday. I like betting on Cincy, and I like backing them in good spots. I don't like their price. Today I actually do like them. I like Malley on the mound, and I think it's a bet on spot here to fade a Cards team, which I don't know which direction they're really going into over the next several weeks. I'll throw it over to you here first, Steve. Do you agree with that?
Well, they've been very streaky. They won 4 out of 5, then they lost 4 in a row. Now they're on a 3-game win streak. So we'll see if they can continue that. I will say mid-major Matt, our weekend host, Matt had some future value. He mentioned last week on the Reds. It's a play on team for him, big picture. I didn't see much in this game, though. What
about yourself, Dave?
No, I'm not going against the Cardinals versus a righty right now. Their offense versus righties. This is a team that's starting to forge a pretty big dichotomy. Not very good against lefties. Really dangerous against righties. Malley is a guy who never seems to get the best of it from a luck standpoint. I'm not playing it. Lean to the Cardinals.
Brian, is there anything from a total standpoint you'd look at here?
I'm not much of a totals player. I play them once in a while when I think everything lines up. Mostly I play sides. And Dave talked about St. Louis against righties. They've got a 109 WRC plus. And Cincinnati's only got a 93, which is coming into the season. I was really high on Cincinnati. I really love their lineup. They just picked up Goodwin, which is going to help them. I think this is a team that doesn't have the coaching. From a player standpoint, they've got good starting pitchers in the front end of the rotation. I like the bullpen. They got a lot of talent in the bullpen, and this team is just underperformed. And after a while, you just got to realize, maybe the coaching staff isn't doing the job. I don't want to have any part of Cincinnati here. Interesting to note, the 2 big blowouts yesterday, Cincinnati gets blown out and Milwaukee gets blown out. And those were 2 teams that took a lot of money overnight. And, we kind of touched on this earlier, where teams that don't deserve it continue to be bet. I can't lay this number with Cincinnati. That's the team struggling right now.
I can't blame you. I can't talk you off it, especially after calling you Mr. Underdog. I wouldn't ask you to lay that number. We'll continue to go down the list here, guys. Toronto taking on Miami. I just saw Hunter put in our group chat, or our chat box here in the live chat. I believe he said his best bet is Ryu's over strikeout prop. Trying to scroll up here. I think it was 5.5 that he had that listed at for Ryu. So, look, Toronto expected a lot out of him. I think they've got some good outings out of him, and I think as far as a prop perspective, I look for the exact same thing. So it's a great shout by Hunter in this one. Look, this Toronto team is battling every game. They're playing Miami. We're seeing a low total here.
Very low.
I'll say first and foremost, from an in-game perspective, this is one that I will definitely be looking to bet in-game over with after a few. If we get a few scoreless or a few very, very, low, I'll probably look to get in and jump in on this in-game over. I'll throw it to you, Dave, this matchup.
Like the under, don't like the number. I'm a first 5 under guy when I play unders, and I just don't like playing under 3.5. But if you're asking me what I think will happen, I think under 3.5 is probably the right side. Rio's pitching fine. I mean, his velocity is not what it was, but the guy just flat out knows how to pitch. And Sixto Sanchez has looked very good so far. So I can see the offense is struggling here, but 3.5 is too tough a number for me.
What are you thinking here in this matchup, Ryan?
Yeah, I want to watch this game. I want to see Sixto pitch. He's been very good so far. The Ryu prop, just keep in mind, the last 5 times he's played Miami, his highest strikeout was 7. So you have to take a look at what history has shown there a little bit. But, I see this to be a low-scoring game. I don't do much, as I mentioned, on totals. Miami hasn't hit lefties very well this year. Toronto's nothing special against righties. So, I'm going to pass on the game, but it would look to me to be a low-scoring game.
Steve, is this game getting a play for you?
No, but I will point out it's the Toronto Blue Jays because it's on the road. If it was the Buffalo Blue Jays, I'd be backing up the truck and loading up on the over 7.5. Obviously, tremendous difference when they're on the road. And by the way, Miami 2-8 at home, 14-7 away this year. I don't know what to make of that. But this total is 7 over in some spots, 7.5 under in others. So if you do like the total here, shop around 7, a very key number. Either way, you're going on that one.
Cubs take on the Pirates. Yesterday we said on the show it'd be tough to go against them. We had a lot of the chat box saying the exact same thing. Second game or second day we talk about them here. Numbers gone down a little bit. We're seeing around minus 185 to 190 at some shops here. They take on the Pirates. Is it just another fade spot here for the Pirates here, guys? I'll go with you here first, Dave.
Price looks good, and I don't. Again, it's pretty much what I said about Morton. I need to see Musgrove in his first start back, so I'll just wait and see.
What about you, Brian?
I agree. Don't trust Kyle Hendricks on the road. Don't trust Joe Musgrove coming back after a long layoff. His last pitching was 28 days ago. So he's been out for 4 weeks, and he's always had a habit of getting hurt. And he's one of those guys that he's got good stuff, but he just doesn't put it all together. Even with the good pitching staff, coaching staff they've had in Pittsburgh that's done wonders over the years, they're not doing it on the latest bunch of pitchers they have in Pittsburgh. So I'm going to be passing on this.
He's got good stuff, but he gets down the middle too often.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
just in the year, Steve. I was loving betting on these overs with the Pittsburgh Pirates, and a lot of the times it wasn't because of their scoring, but sometimes it was. What do you think about this matchup? I mean, we look at Musgrove, we look at Hendricks. I mean, I think that even though you see a couple names like this, the number is still decent in my eyes, and I think it's the right number at 9. But I would still look at it. Sorry, 9.5 and 9. I would still look the over.
What's interesting, Pittsburgh does not have the worst differential in the league. They're not even second worst run differential plus minus. Red Sox and Rangers are both worse than them now. Pittsburgh has been scoring more. They're playing better baseball, but they're still 1-4 their last 5. I don't really want anything to do with them on the side. I do like the over 9, though. They've put up at least 5 runs or more in each of their past 4 games. There's 9.5s to the under, and there's some 9 overs out there. So if you like the over here, definitely play 9 to the over with the extra juice.
Well, Dave was talking about a team earlier, and I won't spend too long on it, but about certain teams that just find a way to win. Well, some teams, they put up runs, but they just find a way to lose. You look at the Red Sox, a team that I'm consistently backing an over with, and a lot of times they're not winning that, but I can count on them to get some runs and also get scored on through a full 9 innings. And I think the Pittsburgh Pirates are a perfect example of that. If you don't want to fade them, a lot of times the over is a good secondary option. That's the way I'm looking at it as well. Nationals, Phillies, Scherzer taking on Wheeler. I'll throw it right back to you here, Steve.
Yeah, I've had some over winners here the last few days with national games. I've used them as some free play. I had one Sunday, that Red Sox National over. I used as a free play on wagertalk.com. Don't know what to make of my Nationals. Defending world champs, 1-7 their last 8. Buyer beware. I'm passing on this game.
What about you, Dave? Anything on this game?
Yeah, best bet, and you can get it right now at wagertalk.com. Sign up for a package, and you'll get this and everything else I've got, or you can buy the game on its own.
Well, there you go. I mean, Dave's given us so much free information over the past, 65 days straight, probably longer than that with KBO and MLB combined. If you want his play on this game, head over to wagertalk.com and grab it for a pretty good price, or 30-day all access pass at an even more discounted price. And as far as that goes, all of us can agree that's just an outstanding discounted price. What about yourself, Brian? Anything from you in this one?
No, my line's basically what it is, so I don't see any value here.
Well, it sounds like that's a stay off game possibly, even though, like Steve said, it's been looking the back overs. Now we're seeing two guys here. Could be a good opportunity to kind of just sit back and stay off. Dave?
Well, obviously it's my best bet, so I disagree.
No, well, I mean for everybody but you. I just advertised your.
Yeah, not speaking for anybody else. So.
Well, it sounded like everybody besides you is staying off, and I advertised your play. That's at Wager Talk, so we're staying off.
If you want, Andrew, I'll keep it simple in the next game. For my free play today, Braves Red Sox, I've got a free play up there right now, wagertalk.com for that next game. So people can go there for my analysis there.
That's good enough for me because I don't have anything to say on the game. So
I'll check out we know how you feel about the Red Sox. Bet against them or don't bet on. Is that what you said?
That I'm not changing that. Although, Nick Kickham gets his first start back and his first appearance back in the big leagues in several years. So he should be excited about that.
Brian?
Yeah, 2014, I believe, was the last time he was up in the majors.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm going to pass on this game. Better bets out there.
What about Detroit and Milwaukee? We talked about them. You cashed a ticket with Detroit. You said, I'll throw it right back to you. Is it another, value underdog betting standpoint here? Or is it one to take your money, Brian, and then step back for a couple seconds with this team?
Well, it looks like people are looking to do that. As I mentioned, money's coming in on Milwaukee. Opened up about a 148. Now I'm seeing in the mid 60s. Haven't been impressed at all with Milwaukee this year, especially against at home. They're 7-10 at home. They haven't played well. It's a situation to me that if I'm looking to play this game at all, I'll be looking at Detroit. You look at the records: Detroit 17-16 in the toughest division in baseball. Milwaukee's 16-19 in a division which the Cubs are good, but who else in that division is any good? So, to me, people are betting the wrong team here. If you like to play underdogs, I think this was worth a shot.
So, we're running long, but I want to spend a minute on just because this I think is important. I knew as soon as I saw this line. I didn't even see the line. I knew where the action was going to come on this game, that it would come on the Brewers. What we've seen over the years, and this is why I don't use metrics as much as I used to, at least not the XFIP and things like that on pitching. I can tell by looking at the metrics for the two starting pitchers exactly where the money's going to go. Mm-hmm. And I'm right like 99% of the time. Well, I'm 90% of the time in terms of where the line's going to go. And this is a perfect example of it because Turnbull, his XFIP is 2 runs worse than his ERA, and Hauser's XFIP is better than his ERA. So as soon as I see that, I know the guys are going to, that the advantage here, the regression, positive, negative regression, blah, 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 favors Milwaukee. And so they're going to bet Milwaukee. But the odds makers already put it into the price because that's why I started getting away from doing that as a as the big key factor in pitching handicapping because 4 or 5 years ago, we started to see the bookmakers look at the same numbers and they know what the bettor's tendencies are going to be. And they started pricing it that way. So here you got a game that they priced it high to begin with and they still bet the Brewers. And I'm not saying that they don't win the game, but I'm going to tell you something. That's just a bad value bet if you're on the Brewers here. It's as simple as that.
When you're looking at those overnights and you see the things that Dave points out, and I think all good handicappers are looking at that. I don't know if it tells you who's going to win the game or not, but it tells you where
the action's going to be,
where you want to bet.
Yep.
And if you wanted to bet Milwaukee, you're going to bet them as soon as possible. If you want to bet Detroit, you're going to bet them as late as possible. And with baseball, it's unlike other sports where you're getting points. Baseball, with the plus and minus, the team only needs to win for you to cover the spread. It's definitely important to know what's going to happen on your games on when to bet them. You bet early, you bet late, and that's how you make money in the sport.
And I think we discussed that yesterday, Dave. You had a lot of great things to say. I learned a lot about, the Milwaukee Brewers, what you were saying about them. I think when we use the word value, it's like, a win's a win. You could bet a team at a certain number or get the number late or whatever. If they win, they're going to win. But long term, you want to get the better of that, be able to read it. And, after what you said yesterday, Dave, learning from you, how could anybody race to the window to back this Brewers team anytime? Looking at you said the amount of money that they've lost, people, if you're betting on the money line numerous times this year versus some other teams that are underdogs, they might not win every day, but they're going to cash at a better price and give you a good underdog number. And, the Brewers just aren't coming in for their backers. And I guess that would be definitely an understatement. The aforementioned Cleveland Indians, we talked about them a couple of times. We didn't actually talk about their game, though, taking on the Kansas City Royals. I'll throw it right back to you, Brian Leonard.
Yeah, we kind of talked about this earlier. I think it was Dave that pointed out that Kansas City is a feisty bunch. The Indians always struggle with Kansas City. They rarely dominate this team, even though from a talent standpoint, they're probably better in most spots except for the outfield over the entire course of the season, especially Kansas City now with their normal all-star catcher. Junis coming back. He hasn't pitched in a while. McKenzie, first game looked great. Last time out, struggled a little bit. And one thing you want to look at when you're taking a look at how these pitchers have done, not only do you have to look at what the results were, you have to look at how many pitches they threw. First time he plays, McKenzie comes out, and he's out of the inning in 15 pitches just about every inning. Last game, he really struggled. He's going like 23 pitches an inning, which tells me he didn't have his stuff. He wasn't dominant. So most people take a look at the results. By taking a look at how many pitches per inning that starter throws tells you a lot more about what happened in that inning and what happened in that game, as opposed to if the line drive just barely cleared the infielder's head, if it just went right down the line and hit the chalk. This tells you a lot more when you're judging these games. And that's one of the reasons why I take a look at game scores, and I mentioned game scores. It's one individual number that is set up based on how the pitcher pitched overall.
Steve, we are running long, but we'll try and keep it quick with the next couple of games here remaining. But is there a thought for you? I want to make sure you can get your thoughts in as well with the Indians and KC matchup.
Steve, okay.
Steve? Yeah, you're muted.
I'm muted. There you go. Sorry, I was logging on the NBA channel, let the other guys in and let them know we're about to roll into that. But I don't have anything on these remaining games. My free play today was actually my top baseball recommendation, and that's in that Braves-Red Sox game. And once again, a 5% NBA best bet's what I've got up there. But really no opinions in these late games, guys. Nothing jumped out to me.
Steve, do you have to get it? You have to get over there and do the NBA show?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I'll jump off now because I think we could do dual TV shows. So you guys finish these games. Give them a little extra bonus baseball here. I really did not have anything in this. Once again, the Red Sox Braves was the only game I thought there was any value. And we're going to go do NBA tip-off. So viewers, finish watching some free baseball advice here and then get even more free NBA. And it'll take at least 10 minutes for Tony Finn to get unwound, so you won't miss anything if you're about 10 minutes late. And I did just check in the studio. If you had the plus
That's
money
funny,
that Tony Finn would be kicked off the air, you have lost the bet, although we have not officially started. So I've been delaying the start here just a little bit to see if I can win my ticket. I have it plus 200 that Finn won't be allowed back. But I'll check, guys. We'll see you on the NBA tip-off right after this, viewers. Thanks, Andrew. Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Dave.
Sure. Thank you.
You can find Steve Merrill over at wagertalk.com and definitely watch the NBA tip-off show. If that wasn't enough comedy in the last 20 seconds that he gave you a little bit of a preview for his show, you can only imagine what you're going to get with that show. I'll throw it over to you, Dave, with some of these late games. If you wanted to, you could kind of just run through them yourself and then go with.
Okay, so lean Astros first 5 minus a half run. I don't like the Dodgers-Angels game. I mean, the line's gone absolutely berserk on the game, so I'm not going to play that. Lamet hasn't been sensational in his last couple of starts. I don't want any part of Tehran. So on the late games, that's all you get from me is a lean to the Astros. First 5 minus a half run.
And for yourself, look at the Rangers and Astros matchup and the Padres and the Angels.
Yeah, and the Astros matchup, they're 8-5 against lefties. It doesn't tell you the whole story. We've talked many times about the Chicago White Sox and how well they are against lefties. Houston's number 2 in baseball against lefties, 135 WRC plus. They're very good against lefties. I tend to not want to fade Houston when they're playing lefties. So the line's pretty much where I put it. So I'll be passing in that one. The other game you're looking at?
That would be the Angels hosting the Slam Diego Padres.
Yeah, the line looks awfully high here for San Diego. But then again, I've been fading the Angels pretty much all year long. So I think the betting public is caught up to these two teams. I mentioned this, I don't know if I did it on the show, but I talked about San Diego's playing Colorado the other day. And Colorado has done nothing to improve their team. San Diego is doing everything they could improve their team. I don't want to fade San Diego. No. The ownership is telling the players, we have confidence in you. We're just this far away of going to the playoffs, and we really believe in you. The players feel that. The players know that the management's going out and doing everything they can to get them to win. I'm not fading San Diego, but I'm also not laying a 2-1 on the road here.
No, the line's gone up 45 cents. So, you either got to the party on time or you didn't.
Yep. Well, and it seems that everybody I talk to, and obviously love hearing your guys' thoughts and opinions every day. I learn from you guys. When I talk to people that are interested in this Padres team, it's bet on or stay away. And with everybody having their attention on this team, not just from the start of the year, but most recently, just past couple of weeks with them, how do we approach it, guys? I know we're running late. How do we approach that, though?
What do you mean?
The number being so expensive that it is.
If you like the Padres, you better get in on them early.
Right.
Because they're the go-with team right now, and people are cashing tickets on them. So, I'm not saying if you want the best prices in the Padres, you better get there in a hurry. They're just an absolute blast to watch right now. There's no team having more fun than the San Diego Padres. It's too bad there's no fans in the stands because they'd be partying at Petco, man.
Yeah, it's just good for baseball too because you have a very good team in that division. And we talked about Arizona a little while back. In the last couple of years, they've been okay, but nobody has even come close to the Dodgers. And it's good to see. It's good for rivalries, especially out there on the West Coast. Obviously, the Dodgers and Giants hate each other, but if the Giants aren't competitive, that takes something out of it. But if San Diego continues this, they're going to be a team that's going to be tough to beat.
Yep. And you know what the shame of it is that they're the only major sports team left in San Diego, so they'd have the whole town right now, and but unfortunately nobody can go to the games.
And look, I know it's easy to just go on any show or any platform and talk about a team and that's great in the NBA or MLB or NFL and say, hey, team total over is a good way to look. But this is another team. Dave gave them the nickname, and everyone's talking about the Slam Diego Padres. No, sorry, Dave announced the nickname. Wow. So I would look at betting this team total over. If you don't like a price you're getting, if you're late to the party, if you don't want to lay that run line, a lot of times when this team is performing, they're putting up some runs in great numbers. Dave was a best bet up. Brian and I both have action. You can use that great 30-day all-access price for $199. It's good until Sunday. That is the deadline. I found that out today. Good until Sunday to grab that for $199. 30-day all-access, every single sport. The handicapper you select releases, whether it's a 2%, 3%, 4%, or the rare 5% play. So grab that from your favorite Wager Talk handicapper. And you can also go over to sportsmemo.com, the sister site, and grab some action from there as well. For Brian, for Dave, for Steve as well. Speaking of Steve, check out that NBA tip-off show directly following this show. We'll see you tomorrow. First pitch, 2 p.m. Eastern, same time as usual. Also, a reminder, it's a 7-day week show, Saturdays and Sundays as well. Take care, guys. Best of luck.